In this video, we're going to get started with the poor man's fiberglass on the pontoons. I decided to move forward with poor man's fiberglass because with the wood being on the outside, I think that it's going to have a stiff platform to stick to and alleviate the concerns that I had with the white paddleboard, which was just poor man's fiberglass directly on the foam. The plywood on the pontoons is really thin. It's 1/8 inch utility board. So it's not going to be extra super rigid, but I think it'll be rigid enough, especially since nobody really should be standing on them directly. My first step is to get these painted. I want to get as much paint as this wood can absorb before I put down any cloth. Since this wood has been standing here for a couple weeks as we've been doing the secondary operations and so forth, I'm going to start off by getting these lightly sanded. So I'm using paint that's just kind of left over, essentially scrap paint that people have discarded here. And the first can I opened had a hole in the lid. I was kind of expecting it to be dried out, but actually it was more watery. I really wanted this paint to soak into the wood as much as possible, so I figured I'd give it a try. But as you can see on this board, the first coat is looking more like a white stain almost rather than a coat of paint. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to paint with it and see how it goes. Since I want the boat pontoons to be white when I'm done, I figured now is a good time to start using my tinted paints. So after a couple coats of that watered down paint, I've moved to this light blue. Since I'm doing relatively small areas of paint, followed by drying times, because I can really only do one side at a time, went ahead and found this huge Ziploc bag. I'm just sticking my entire paint tray in there. That way I don't have to clean up. At least until the end anyway. So I've got my pontoons fully painted now with several coats, heavy coats of latex paint. And I'm going to start with the cloth next. Just as a note, there's also the process of using latex paint rather than the PVA glue, which is what I did on my whiteboard. But I wanted to give the latex paint a try. It's got a couple advantages, most notably the one that you can get the paints for free pretty easily. I got mine from someone that was moving and no longer wanted the paint, but you can also get it from hazardous waste locations, and I've heard it also suggested that hardware stores that don't mix up the paint or make mistakes when they're tinting will give it away, because that way they don't have to pay to have it hauled off. So I'm trying it on this build, and we'll see how it goes. I decided to go with a couple more coats of paint before I put the cloth on, and I ran out of tinted paint. So the one side of the board is now white. The other side of the board, I've got this cloth. Got this at the Hobby Lobby. It said it was jute. I don't know what the heck jute is, but it seems like some sort of a natural fiber, which I guess is what I'd want so that it absorbed the paint. And I was able to get enough to cover both these pontoons for 35 bucks, I think it was. A little bit less. So anyway, I'm going to try to do this without a seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint almost to the edges all along this whole side first, and then roll it over on the side, and then paint it and roll it over and paint it and so forth. So anyway, let's see how this goes. So now we're really going through the paint quick. I thought I was using it up fast before. Right now it doesn't even make sense to use this paint tray. I'm just pouring it right out of the can and spreading it out. So there we go with the first side. Painted down. I feel like I've got this cloth pretty well saturated. There are a couple spots here I'm seeing around the nose that probably can use a little more paint. I don't know if it shows up on the video, but for the most part, it's pretty well saturated. Got the top side trimmed up now, so that so the cloth will lay flat as I paint it. The other side ended up being a lot less saturated than I hoped as the paint dried. You could really see the weave of the cloth quite a bit. I'm not sure if I'm going to add more paint yet to that, and if so, how much. But I was also expecting that this cloth would come together a lot closer on the top. It said 50 to 54 inches width when I bought the cloth, but considering this board is 24 inches wide, it looks like that estimate is a little bit not quite right. So anyway, I don't know that I need that much protection on the top anyway. Really, I'm only looking for water protection instead of abrasion resistance here on the top, so it's probably not going to matter. So I've got the front and the back painted up, and now I'll do the sides. So I have one pontoon poor man fiberglassed up along the sides and bottom, and the other one left to go. I'm not quite sure exactly, like I mentioned before, what I'm going to do about the top here, but I'll probably leave it be. So I've got the poor man's fiberglass completed on my pontoons now. As you can see, I've run out of tinted paint. Even the cream color paint's gone, so we're moving to white. Got about a yard of cloth left over, so I plan to string that across the nose. I expect that to be an area that's going to get extra abuse, so a little bit of extra abrasion resistance here should be good. Also, I'll be putting on some more paint, getting both of these completely white, plus the top side of these, I think they could use a little bit more paint to fully saturate the cloth. Thanks for watching my video. Have a great day. Also, leave your comments and suggestions in the comments below. Really glad to hear what you have to say, and I try to get back to all of them. Have a great day.